there, welcome. My name is Sarah Martin and I am the quitting coach, and really breaking some of the rules today, I think, when it comes to spiritual teaching and teaching from your own experience. I have been told to make sure you have worked through it before you're sharing. And I'm just really moved today to just bring you into my process and to just share based on conversations I've had with others about the heaviness and this collective energy, and explain what that is and what does it look like when you feel totally burnt out and depleted, even though the sun is starting to shine here in the Northeast, and had a really decent week, but woke up with the heaviest heart and a to-do list a mile long that I'm needing to hand over. And coming on because I think that so many of us deal with this. So I always like to share a practice that you can bring with you through your week. And I hope that if you've been listening, you're playing with that hand on the heart, hand on the belly, or maybe just a couple hands on the heart that can feel like a hug. Let's go ahead and take those 3 releasing breaths wherever you're at in your day, just letting go of whatever you're carrying. Inhaling in. Sometimes I like to shrug my shoulders up to my ears dramatically, and then release. One more inhale. And release with the exhale. Again, we don't even really need to know what we're letting go of or intellectualize what we're letting go of. I think what I'm really struggling with today is that I have let go of so much this week. I've had some really beautiful healing moments in yoga class where I'm just bawling my eyes out on the mat and having these epiphanies and just releasing old stories and old energy that I've been carrying around with me. So, I always want to have this feel complete, right? After 10 years on this journey, and so many people that come to me for coaching, and I'm validated that we think if we do this work right, if we meditate enough, if we change our thoughts, if we run, exercise, do enough yoga, do all the things, whatever it is, our diet, then we just arrive on this cloud and we get to float in this state of bliss. And I really feel like I'm waiting for the moment to stop being disappointed that the heaviness on my heart and the sadness and the fact that I'm a spongy empath can make me wake up on a Monday morning after Mother's Day and after several birthdays in my family and all of this celebration, and whether you feel like celebrating or not, you're going to show up and deliver. And also, dealing with a big shift with some stuff that my aging mother is dealing with, and being her caretaker more than ever, and just having that switch kind of be flipped as I stare down the barrel of turning 50, in August. And I'm already catching my language, right? Stare down the barrel of turning 50. Is that really the thought that I want associated with it? But today I'm not feeling as in control of my thoughts as I would like, right? So I struggled to get out of bed today. I just feel really heavy. And I'm in and out of this, right? I'm in and out of this right now. And I had somebody share something, a therapist friend that shared something about the collective energy right now, right? So again, if you're here, I'm sure you believe in some kind of energy, or are starting to learn about your own energy, and of course the energy that we put out, right? And we've talked about this when we talk about law of attraction, and we talk about like energy attracting like energy. And when I first started this work, I get really paranoid about any negativity, any heaviness, but I was blessed enough to work with a teacher who really does a lot of the shadow work, saying, geez, you really have to excavate that stuff. You can't just shine it over, right? Like, you can't just be all love and light when inside and like physically my heart hurts today. It hurt on the way to bed. I was releasing grief. I was just sadness. And I've been doing this long enough to know, like, it's not mine. A lot of it's not mine. Some of it's mine. A lot of it's not mine. I've had some great things happening, right? My kids are thriving. I am, living my dream in coaching, and I have a lot of clients right now, and I'm teaching yoga, and things are good. I'm being held and supported, right? So, which can almost make it feel worse, right? When you're like, and my daughter said this to me during COVID, and it was a moment of epiphany. And this is where doing the work and having this knowledge and wisdom was helpful, right? Because we feel like, well, I'm blessed. How dare I feel like this, right? So there's that story that goes along with this. How dare I feel like this? But when we're learning about collective energy, right, is that we are all from one source, right? We are all working within this machine, right? We have cells in our body that work in a machine. And the way I think of it in the collective is that I'm just one little cell in the machine of the universe, right? So as things are going, I can absorb this Roe versus Wade. I can absorb the war in the Ukraine. I can absorb coming out of a pandemic and feeling apocalyptic, like, now what? I can absorb inflation and high prices and that fear of other people, of everyone in the collective, again, having these fears. Some of them are mine, but some of them is a collective oppression, right? And I'm going to try to get through this without crying, but the therapist that posted was, posting really about Roe versus Wade and the oppression that's back in Afghanistan of women, right? So when I'm in my heart and I'm feeling strong, I can understand that feminine energy is what's coming to be had on the planet, right? More creativity, more nurturing, more people quitting their jobs, more people maybe living in communities closer to the earth. Like, that's what's coming, right? When I feel strong and shored up, I can be excited about that and understand that these systems need to break down in order to be reconstructed. And then we have a collective masculine, right? These men who want to tell, women how to handle their bodies and what they should be doing with their bodies, and to put masks on when they go outside to cover their faces, that these women in Afghanistan shouldn't be going to school. Right? And so if I was not awake, if I was still drinking my face off and chain smoking cigarettes in my garage, which I'm not going to lie, I've been tempted to do the last few weeks, if I wasn't awake, I wouldn't feel that pain. I wouldn't feel that fear, right? It's real. It's real. And what do we do about it, right? And the fact that, like, okay, like, what do we do about it? And do I even have the energy to stand up and protest and do the things? Or do I sometimes just feel numb and be like, oh my God, what is going on? What is going on? Right? So, and what do I do with all this? What do I do with all this? Right? So I have learned, right? All we can control is right here, right? I can't actually go make sure that Roe versus Wade doesn't get turned over. I'm powerless to that right now. I really am. I'm powerless to the war in the Ukraine. I'm powerless to Afghanistan. Are there small little actions I can take? Absolutely. But the best friggin' thing I can do right now is to shore this up. My energy body, whatever my reaction is to the collective, right? To go wring out the sponge is what I need to do, right? And it sucks. And I am a positive minded person. I am a pleasure seeker. I am somebody who avoids pain. So to go head into it, on a day where I was supposed to get all this stuff done and the sun is shining, and I really did come off a pretty decent week, and then I was supposed to go to strength class because I'm strengthening my body, but I couldn't get out of bed until 10 o'clock today. I had to let it be. I had to let it be. And so there's going to be a lot of crying today. And my exercise that I really hand to you when you feel like this or when there's something there is just start writing. Just start writing. I haven't been doing enough of that. I've got the journal out today. I'm doing my work. I'm getting it out of my body. And I've already had some things really surprise me that I am feeling and that are up, and some more revelations around healing from things I'm still carrying from childhood, from whatever, right? Because what the spiritual teaching is that we can only do our own work, right? And as we're doing our own work, we show up in the collective in a better, stronger way, right? In a better, stronger way where we can help our families, where we can help our kids, right? Because of this work. And this is going to be a hard one to do without crying, but because of this work, during COVID, when my daughter was, she's 17 now, so she would have been 15. And I was working for human resources in a grocery store, and I can remember we just came from dinner at my mom's, and yeah, it was like June, I want to say, into COVID, right? And I feel like I was working 11, 12 days in a row. We were working weekends, COVID hotline. This is part of my great resignation and why I couldn't take it anymore. And maybe still part of my recovery, right? I need to understand that I am 6 months out of living in the patriarchy for 25 years, who was like, do more, do more, do more, do more, do more. There's no processing. Right? So I need to understand that too. And actually, I just didn't even know that until I'm here sharing, right? So more writing and more revelation and more taking my own advice of let yourself fall apart to be put back together again, right? And so I'm driving home from my mom's and I'm exhausted. I'm spent. I can't take one more thing. Like, this is how I'm feeling on the way home. I'm feeling much like I feel today. My kid had driven home by herself in her car, so she must have been 16, or she drove home with Jacob. I can't remember. Anyway, it was deep in, right? And she had her period, and I come home and she's crying on the kitchen floor, like she's just sitting there weeping. And you want to have all these words of wisdom, right? So this is the other thing, like, you're worried about other people that are close to you and you want to have all the words. And I didn't have it. All I had was some tears, and I sat down and I cried with her and I held her and we cried. And she said, I mentioned going to therapy, right? And she's an introvert. She doesn't spill it all out, right? And I always joke that I'll never have a heart attack because I'm always letting it out. So, and I, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how much do you need to let this out? And I need to stop shaming myself for that, right? But thank God for the book Quiet that helped me understand introverts, and that I need to leave her alone a lot, which is hard for me. But in that moment, she said, I talked about, well, honey, do you want to go to a therapist? It helped my son so much. And she said, but I don't know what's wrong, right? I have no reason to feel like this, Mom. Like, look I live in this beautiful house. Like, she knows she's blessed and lucky, which, spoke to my heart so much. Like, thank you for not being entitled and understanding about your privilege, right? She understands it. But, honey, you're 15. You have your period. We're in the middle of a pandemic. You're exhausted. You're depleted. You're trying to show up for school. You have a lot of pressure that's put on yourself. You can be privileged and feel depleted and sad and upset and need to freaking cry your eyes out. It's okay. It's and both, right? This is the yogic path that I'm so thankful for, that, like, you know what? Yes, I've had all this healing. I've had all this beauty. I had all this energy to go exercise and go to yoga and do the things last week. And you wanted more of that. You were going to wake up and go to strength training class, and you have all this stuff you're going to do, and you're going to put all this stuff out into the world, and blah, 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 blah. and I have this thing I have to do tomorrow that's hard and scary. Oh, could that be part of your stress and fear? Could that be part of it? Yeah. And you know what you need to do with that today is just feel it to heal it. Let yourself be sad. Let yourself cry on the kitchen floor today. Let yourself worry about your kids and the state of the world today. Like, let it be. And get it out, right? And write it out. And write it out, right? So I'm sorry I'm not coming to you all cleaned up today with happy, perky advice. I am coming to you to say, are you feeling this too? Is anyone else feeling this way? And I'm pretty confident most of you are a yes, of at least one day out of the week this week that you have felt this, because everyone I've been talking to has felt this. I listened to this beautiful podcast, and I'll leave you with this. It was my teaching during yoga this week about completing the stress cycle, right? So if anyone listens to Glennon Doyle, I highly recommend it. We Can Do Hard Things is the name of their podcast. Please do yourself a favor. So much good information on there, and so much of, oh my God, I'm not alone in this. So they were talking about burnout, and that, you know, again, for 2 years, right? Once the pandemic hit, I think a lot of us went into survival mode, or maybe you did a lot of clearing and you did a lot of shifting, and you're just in that stage where you're redefining who you are. So many of us found out that so many of the things that we thought were important, like that demanding corporate job, or, you know, all of the things we had acquired, weren't that important, right? So now there's this excavation of, okay, what is important to me? And oh gosh, I'm still in this same job, or I still have all the stuff in my house, or, you know, I'm still trying to deliver results like I delivered in my corporate job in a coaching business that I want to be free-flowing and spiritual, right? But I'm still operating very masculine driven. So I think that's what I'm watching with myself, is I'm still like, my relaxation is some people's best day because I get so much done. It's ridiculous. Like, I'm really looking at my relaxing weekend. I'm like, okay, like, wow, I have an overdoing problem. So these are the assessments that are going on, right? And also, we've been giving to depletion, especially us women. We are programmed to give to depletion. So we've been giving, and then when are we filling ourselves back up? And how do we even do that, right? So what this cycle of completing the stress cycle talked about is this, right, is exactly what I'm doing today, right? Is like letting yourself fall apart, letting yourself have the cry, writing about it, going for the walk if you don't have the run within you, which is on my agenda today, going out and walking in nature. So they're talking about fight, or flee, or freeze. Flee is what mine is flight right now, big time. Flight and freeze, right? Of just giving up. I don't want to do any of it. I don't want to do any of it. I want to get in my car and just start driving and go discover nature and go just experience all the things I haven't been able to experience because I've been here mothering, and I've been here being an HR person for 25 years, mothering the people at the corporation, right? All I've been doing is giving, and the teaching is more giving, right? So how do I give back to myself? Right? So fight, flight, freeze, sometimes flee. This is the fantasy I'm having. But those are our stress responses, right? You have them in your body. You can feel them in your body. So, we talk about this a lot, and I'll continue to talk about this, that when you're feeling this, and for me, it's a heaviness and a sadness and an exhaustion today. Sometimes it feels like rage, and we just tramp it down because we've got stuff to do. We don't have time to feel that. I got to go into this presentation. I've got to go to a meeting at my kid's school. We are tramping it down continuously. So in as much as I thought that I was doing all the feeling and all the wonderful things, I was overexerting myself. So now I'm depleted and exhausted, and I need to complete that cycle of stress. I need to feel it all and take that next right action and ask myself, what do I need right now? What do I need right now? How do I nourish myself? This is what I preach. I better practice it. So that's why I just wanted to share it while I'm in it. And the example that was given in this podcast that I listened to subsequently by the author of the woman who wrote the book Quiet, whose name is not coming to me right away. But anyways, she's talking about completing this cycle of stress, right? So that in primitive times, when the bear was coming for us and say we had a flight response and we start running, right? And we run and we get to safety and our body lets down. We think it's because we got to safety, but it was really the running that helped us release that stress, right? It wasn't if we, got airlifted and we're still freaking out, we got to safety, our body would still be holding that, but that the running was part of releasing that stress, right? So sometimes running is a stress reliever. Sometimes exercise is a stress reliever, but if you're depleted and exhausted, it's not. You're just depleting yourself more. So maybe it's a gentle walk is your exercise. Maybe it's just sitting outside. Maybe it is sleeping some more without the shame. Maybe it is sleeping till 10 o'clock and letting that go. And that's my work today. Like not shaming myself because I am not going to produce a whole lot today. And watching my brain that tells me that I'm worthless because I'm not producing. This is one of my patterns. The overdoing is one of my addictions and is most of our addictions because it's celebrated. It is celebrated in the society that we live in, right? What's the best answer to how are you? I'm busy. I'm really busy, right? And busy can be great. I want to be busy. I want to have a ton of clients. I want to be busy because that's safe and secure for me. But it's depleting. The reason I went for this was so that I could experience mind-blowing, faithful, and free moments so I could have more play. But I haven't been doing it. I haven't been finding it. I've been finding it in moments. It's starting to come back and watching for moments of beauty and being super compassionate for myself. That's all I can do today. And write down whatever all of this is within me. So I offer that to you as a practice, as a consideration. It can be very hard to tell, okay, what is mine? What is real? What is this actual concern for my own safety, right? For my own contribution in the world, for worry about my kids, and how much is this collective energy that feels like oppression right now? Right? If you are in a female body right now, please just know that it doesn't feel good right now to be in this country. It really doesn't. That it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing to all of us. How are these rights being taken away from us? How is this happening? And what's next? Right? The fear is what's next. So just holding a vision that this is happening for a reason, that we will stand up against this. And again, shoring yourself up. What do you need right here, right now? Do you need to walk away from the computer? Do you need that cup of tea? Do you need a nap? Is it a walk outside? Write about it. I am scared. I am sad. I am angry. Whatever that prompt is, and let some shit flow out of your body. That's my assignment for the week. I appreciate you giving a listen here, and all I can do is show up as my authentic self, which might not be overly perky all of the time, but I'm going to do my work and I'll come back and report on it, how things are going. I need to continue to do my work and get it out of my body, and then I need to work on my thoughts, right? On the thoughts that tell me that I am worthless when I don't produce. That's the biggest one I'm working on right now. So again, appreciate you. Please subscribe and like and share with anyone else you feel like might need to hear this today. And you can find me at www.soul-search.com. And if you are local, I have a workshop coming up this weekend on Sunday in Saratoga Springs, New York. I will share that is on my website as well, and where we can get together. The other really beautiful way to help complete this cycle of stress, if you will, is connecting with others. So I've been holding some workshops, and it just feels so good. Everyone says, I feel so good. There'll be a little yoga, a little breath work, and people just feel so good listening and sharing with each other to say, okay, we are in this together. We are in this together. And sometimes it just feels good to say, I haven't been feeling that good, and here's what I've been carrying. And then we'll do some tools to be able to transform and transmute that as well. And certainly I do one-on-one coaching to do that for you individually also. So please, again, you can comment below. You can find me at www.soul-search.com. Soul is spelled S-O-L, which is Spanish in light. So sometimes we got to go into the dark to be able to find that switch to turn the light on. So it's just a little bit of all of it. Really appreciate you giving a listen, and I'll be back next week.